Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Derek from Certified Legacy. Today I'm going to unbox an iPhone 5 supposedly still running its original iOS version, iOS 6. Now, I got this from my buddy Mac Throwback for a pretty good price. I only paid basically $60 without shipping. And usually you'll pay like 100 plus if you're not getting one that's like a Chinese model where they have sellers where they have like huge lots of them because they just board those logic boards and put those logic boards into different housings so it's cheaper to sell. But no, this one is a normal US model, and it's not one of those where it has like cheap parts in it. And usually for those you'll pay like 100 plus unless the seller does not know the rarity, which is usually even more rare with iOS 6 iPhone 5s, that they don't know how rare it is and they'll price it way lower. Now, if you don't know who Mac Throwback is for some reason, he does these unboxing videos and he does them way better than me and way more frequently than me. So if you're into that stuff, go check out his channel. I'll leave it in the description. And big thanks to him again. And yeah, let's get this thing right out of the box. All right, let me take this thing out of its packaging here. And it looks like there's two phones in here. I did not know that. So, of course, this is the iPhone 5. And it looks like he threw in an iPhone 4S, which I'm not sure why he did that. But we'll get to that. But yeah, here is also the free dock connector, which is nice. And yeah, I did not know he'd be throwing in some extra devices, of course. So big thanks to Mac Throwback again. And let's get these two powered on just to see if they have any charge, because why not? Okay, looks like the iOS 6 5 does work. This one seems to be completely flat. In the note, it says this one has a bad battery and is running iOS 7.0.4. So I'll take this, maybe make a separate video on this. So anyway, let's take a look at this iPhone 5 right here. And of course, you can see iOS 6 just based on what the lock screen looks like. So here we go. Let's go right into the settings. Here, you can see we're on 6.1.4 and it's a 16 gigabyte model. The screen does appear to be slightly yellowed, but that's not a big deal as these iPhone 5s are usually very easy to replace screens on, even easier than like an iPhone 4 or 4S usually. He did mention that this has a very good battery, so that's good because that's probably even rarer than iOS 6 on these kind of devices usually, as these things are pretty old and batteries tend to just wear down and be terrible. And he said, I think this is like 80-90% battery health based on what Coconut Battery says, which is very good. So let me get this all cleaned up over here and we can go over the specs of this phone. This iPhone released September 21st of 2012 with iOS 6. It had storage options ranging from 16 gig, which is what this one is, all the way up until 64 gigabytes. It featured two color options, black and slate and white and silver. This one, of course, being the white and silver color. It was the first iPhone to increase the screen size from 3.5 inches on the 4S to 4 inches on the 5. It really did not increase like the screen width because it really only just got taller. It also happened to be the last iPhone to be overseen by Steve Jobs, so his design philosophy of having iPhones fit in one hand still applies to this design. It also featured the brand new A6 chip with a massively better GPU compared to the A5, now featuring 3 cores. The CPU had a minor improvement versus the A5 chip, now being clocked at 1.3 gigahertz versus 1 gigahertz on the iPhone 5. It was also the first iPhone to feature 4G LTE technology, which was first seen in an Apple product on the iPad 3rd gen, which came out earlier that year. Front camera is virtually the same compared to the 4S. I can show you. Since they're both 8 megapixels, they're virtually the same size. The iPhone 5 has a tinier camera, very slightly, but if we go look at camera quality, if we look at this poster over here on the 4S versus the 5, it is virtually the same. Like, there's no real difference here other than maybe there being slightly better stabilization technology, as they relatively have the same exact camera, both having 8 megapixels and all of the same technology other than maybe a little bit better stabilization. Now, where the camera really sees an improvement is in the selfie camera. It's very visible here. On the 4S, it only has VGA quality. It doesn't even list the amount of megapixels, so it's just VGA, versus 1.2 megapixel selfie camera on the iPhone 5, and you can really see the difference because this can now go up to 720p on this phone versus this phone, and you can overall see my face a lot better in this, and it just overall looks a lot better. The real massive improvement on the 5, other than like this design being different and having a bigger screen, is the RAM. The RAM is significantly better on the 5 compared to the 4S. It has about double, as it now has a whole gigabyte of RAM on the 5 versus 512 megabytes on the 4S, making very hard tasks that take a lot of memory run a lot better, and it overall just feels a lot better if you're like playing some like really taxing games on here compared to the 4S. Like, it just runs a lot better. Now, speaking of design, let's focus on the design for a second. It featured the same boxy sort of look like the 4S and 4, but with a couple changes. The back is now almost all metal, as you can see here, with some glass cutouts at the top around the camera and down here as well. And of course, it is also a bit taller than the 4S, and it's technically, at the time, was the most thin iPhone that you could get on the market. And if you hold one of these in your hands, you can actually feel the difference. You're going from about 140 grams on the 4S, kind of just feeling like a little bit of a brick in your hand, versus 112 grams on the 5, and it's a significant difference. Like, this thing is super light in your hand. Where it also really does not change is in the buttons. It kind of still has this like ring of metal around the whole device, except now the headphone jack is on the bottom versus on the top on the 4S, which I find a little bit more convenient personally, because if you have it up here, it's kind of awkward. It's a lot better down here when like you're listening to music on one of these. And of course, now we have the semi-modern lightning port. And for the time, this was big because the 30 pin was at least 10 years old at this point, and it was starting to like show its age. Like, if you had like an iPad 3, this would take hours to charge just because of the 30 pin connector, and it would take forever to charge. Like, I have one of these on iOS 5, and God, it takes so long to charge the battery just because of how bad this is. But with the lightning connector, it is a huge difference. And not only that, the charging port is reversible now, meaning it's a lot easier to put in, basically. Now, let's move on to what is so unique about iOS 6 in 2025. Of course, the big elephant in the room here is it is the last iOS version to have the skeuomorphic look. So what is skeuomorphism? Skeuomorphism is a design philosophy that mimics real life. So for example, this like can be seen in the Notes app. If you open the Notes app up, you can see that this looks like a real notepad, and like you're typing on a actual notepad. It has like, even has like all the texture in here that looks like real note. Wish I could show you the Passbook app when it's filled up with all your stuff, but I can't, so I'll just throw an image in here. It looks like an actual passbook is what I'm trying to say here. Same thing with like the newsstand. This looks like a real newsstand, and it gets filled up progressively as you get stuff in here and download magazines and whatsoever. And the whole entire reason this is so special on the iPhone 5 is this whole entire design language was thrown out just a year later with iOS 7. There's a deeper reason why this even happened in the first place, but I need to explain something else first. Also released with iOS 6 came Apple Maps, which was an absolute disaster. I can't really show it off to you because it's currently broken. Maybe I could after when I jailbroken, but it was a disaster. It was severely buggy, and Apple ended up having to make an apology. But there was one guy who refused to sign his name in the apology, the guy who oversaw Apple Maps, the guy who even advocated for this design of skeuomorphism in his UI, that of course being Scott Forstall. Scott did not sign the apology at all, leading to him being fired, and Joni Ive was now the main iOS designer, leading the very radical, flat redesign of iOS 7. And you can very much see this versus what we have in iOS 6. So let me show it to you quickly. So like, let's go to like the Notes app. This is 7.0x, so this technically should still have some texture, to be completely honest. So this is not going to be like what it will look like today, honestly. But you can see there's a big difference. But if you look very closely on here, there's still some texture and depth on there just because of this version of iOS 7 specifically. And here's an alternate reality to think about for a second. I know this is kind of off topic. If Scott actually signed that apology and swore to improve Apple Maps, what if there was a good chance flat design could have never taken off on the scale we see it today, and skeuomorphism and Frutiger Aero at the time could have stayed as prominent as it was, and maybe even something else could have changed, and something else would have gotten more minimal instead of just going full flat. Like maybe they would just remove the skeuomorphism out of every other design they were using or something like that. What if Microsoft took the already Metro design language they had at the time and just made that skeuomorphic? And the whole entire reason we see flat design today is just because Scott Forstall decided not to sign his apology. And I know Windows 8 and a bunch of other stuff came before it, but it would have never really been on the same scale as you see it today because Apple, and if they never tried flat design. Now, anyway, back to iOS 6. Siri had some new improvements, now being able to tell you sports scores. So let's try that right now. Hey Siri, what is the score of the latest football game?
There are 16 NFL games for Week 18.
And as you can see, it gives me all of the football games that are going on right now. And it could also tell you facts about movies. Hey Siri, tell me a fact about movies.
Here are some movies.
Oh, it just gives me movies. I don't know. But yeah, here are some movies it gives me, as you can see here. And it even gives you what they are rated, which is pretty interesting. You could also send a tweet or like post on Facebook via Siri, which is also pretty interesting. I can't demonstrate that obviously. And it is also now available in a bunch of different languages. Facebook was also integrated into iOS, and you can see it right here, and you can like sign directly in here. Passbook app was also added where you could store your boarding passes, store cards, movie tickets, and other stuff. I can't also showcase this because I don't have any of that to put in here. So here's an image of what it would look like. Pretty skeuomorphic. Another thing I wanted to mention about the design of iOS 6 is now it featured some like bluish elements. This can be seen in like the settings app. It also featured like some more dark elements, but you can see it's more like blue on black and white kind of here. You can actually see it in the clock app here, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, this is what it would look like. This design can pretty much be seen across the whole entire OS. And now that we've gone over everything about the iPhone 5 and everything about iOS 6, let's jailbreak this thing and save SHSH blobs. So I've now got it all connected up to my MacBook, and I'm just going to drag restore.sh into terminal to start legacy iOS kit. It's probably going to prompt me to update. Oh, actually, not right now. So what we're going to do next is we're going to save SHSH blobs, which is relatively easy. All you have to do is find onboard blobs, select that IPSW. So I have a GSM iPhone 5.1 here, so I have to go find that IPSW. So I'm just going to download the IPSW for my current iOS version, which is 6.1.4. I'm just gonna hit download on that. Okay, so next step is we just select the IPSW. And what I do next here is I just hit save onboard blobs. I'm gonna do pwn DFU because I'm not jailbroken. So next I just send it right into recovery mode, which should not take very long to do. It usually restarts and it enters in recovery mode. It's kind of hard to see because my phone's not adjusting to it, but it is restarting. Now I can see the old recovery mode thing right there, and we're just gonna hit yes to continue to put it into DFU mode. So let me do that. Okay. I just gotta keep holding the home button until it pwns itself. Okay, it's gonna try to exploit with checkmate here. Okay. And it should now be in pwn DFU mode. And it's now going to save the SHSH blobs here. And it doesn't appear to have any errors here. So that is a good sign, it looks like. And I don't have to do it again. All right, that is good. Now we're just going to jailbreak with the same exact tool. I'm just going to use the RAM disk method. Yes, I know there is Aquila, but I don't really care. I'm just going to jailbreak it with this method. So also, because I just like doing the RAM disk method, I found it easier here. So yeah, RAM disk method, we're just going to do yes. And it just does this, and then I have to put it in DFU mode, and it just patches the RAM disk, basically is what it does. It is not as fast as the other method, but I just find it easier because I'm used to doing this on iOS 6. Okay, and now we're going to put it into DFU mode again. So I'm just going to do the same thing I just did a second ago, which is hold the top and home button for like 8-ish seconds and let go and keep holding the home button for like another 8-ish seconds is what DFU mode is basically. So I'm just gonna keep holding this. Okay, let's hope it exploits here. Oh, it restarted. Great. Okay, so that's the first time you've probably seen it fail here. It's asking me to use Aquila. I don't really care about Aquila. Let's try this again. If it fails, I'm just gonna go use Aquila. I'm trying not to use Aquila, make it more interesting. Okay, let's exploit. Okay, we're in pwn DFU this time. And now you're gonna see it actually successfully jailbreak, hopefully. At the very worst, this is all, if this all goes wrong for some reason, what we'll do is just restore with the blobs we saved. And you can see it's running RAM disk currently, and it's gonna jailbreak it. See? There it goes. And now there it is installing Cydia and everything, and there it goes. And now it's just gonna reboot, and we should have Cydia all up and running. And yeah, I'll probably be syncing some music to this thing and getting some games on here, and I'll come back to you after playing with this device for a little bit, maybe get it cleaned up a little bit because it is slightly dirty, so we'll get that all worked out. But first, let's see if we actually jailbroke before we get into that. Okay, we've booted back into iOS 6, which is a good sign. It looks like we have Cydia. As you can see here, it's preparing the file system for Cydia. This will take a little bit. I'll come back to you when it's done doing this. And as you can see, it just restarted its springboard, and now we're just gonna go back into Cydia here. And there we go. We have Cydia up and running, and yeah. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to sync some stuff to this thing, and it'll probably look completely different by the time I'm done with that. And we'll just explore the device a little further. And you know what? Actually, before we do that, I did mention that we were gonna check out coconut battery quickly before we did that, so let's do that. And also, he did mention that the charging port is a little finicky, but that's not really a big deal. Probably just needs to be cleaned, or at the very worst, we just gotta replace it. So let's check out coconut battery here and check out what the battery percentage and the manufacture date of this device is before we actually go ahead and explore the device further. So here you can see the full charge capacity is like that, and the design capacity is like that. So that's pretty good, and we can see it was manufactured in mid-2013. So anyway, I'm going to go use this device, sync some music to it, maybe listen to some music on here and stuff. So I'll come back to you, have some games on here to check out as well. And yeah, so I've installed a couple apps on this thing. I even have YouTube working, the App Store working, and yeah, let's just explore this thing. Let's go through the wallpaper, stuff like that. Starting off with the music app, I just wanted to talk about how like dark like this aesthetic is on iOS 6. I'm not sure why it's like this. If you compare this to any other music player from a previous iOS version, it's way less dark than this, but honestly, I think this looks pretty good. But anyway, let's go to the wallpapers. So iOS 6's wallpaper selection is kind of just okay. I don't like the base wallpaper we have for iOS 6 because it's kind of blurry and low quality. This is probably one of my favorites. This one's also very good. And then you just have the one from iOS 4 and 5, and then we have this one that's also from iOS 4, whatever. This is alright. This is alright. The other ones are okay. Like, I like this wallpaper. This wallpaper is actually pretty nice. I'm gonna change that wallpaper. But like this one's alright. Just a bunch of okay looking wallpapers, nothing crazy. But yeah, I really do like this one actually. We can also check out the App Store quickly since I got it fixed. It's not going to be 100% accurate because when it fixes it, it kind of just transforms it into the iOS 5 one, and there's nothing I can really do about that. So it's just going to look like iOS 5 when we go through it. Like, you can see the top 25 here. You can see the featured. It just looks like iOS 5. It's not particularly interesting. We can go take a look at stocks. It's not fixed currently, but you can just see it sort of. Same thing with weather. I haven't fixed this yet. So let me go fix this, and I will come back to you and I'll show you this. So I tried fixing it. It's not really making a difference because it's stuck loading it for some reason. We can try the weather app again, but it's not loading, but it would just display the weather here. And it would look very similar. Let's check out the newsstand. I did show this off earlier, but this would be filled up when you download like magazines and stuff like that. We can look at the notes app. I'm just gonna put something random in here, and you can see this is what it looks like. We can check out passbook. Of course, I don't have anything in here, so it's not gonna be filled up. So here's an image of what it looks like filled up with stuff. This is what the phone app looks like. You can see there's nothing really in here. It's just, yeah. Maps app, it doesn't work because I didn't fix it, and even when I fix it, I can't get it to work. So you're not going to be seeing a working Maps app. If you guys are curious of what Cydia looks like, here's what Cydia looks like. I have all my stuff in here. And also, let's check out YouTube. I was just on here. I looked up something. I did fix it with tube repair, so you can see everything working in here. And calculator app, we can go to that. Looks like a real calculator. Very cool. You can go to contacts. It's not filled with anything, so it just looks empty. Voice memos, same, very skeuomorphic, very cool. Let's check out like some games now that we've pretty much gone through everything that's interesting particularly. So let's go to like here. Let's check out like Minecraft. I did install a version of Minecraft. It'll show up what version I installed in a second. 14.3, which I believe is the last version available for iOS 6. We can check out Minecraft in here. Very cool, runs very well on iOS 6 with the processor it is using. So it's very cool and nice on this thing. It actually runs a little bit colder than my iPhone 6 on I think I use the same exact version of Minecraft too on my iPhone 6. It runs a lot colder for some reason on here. I don't know. Maybe it's just how thin the iPhone 6 is. I have no idea. But let's go into Subway Surfers next. And as you can see, I don't remember what version I got of this. Let's just mute the sound just to show you. If you have nostalgia for Subway Surfers, which I do. I used to play this a lot back in the day, personally. That's what Subway Surfers looks like. We can check out Doodle Jump. This one I've actually still played to this day on iOS. Funny enough, it just uses the gyroscope to move this little character here. I don't even know why I set my name that. What does DET mean? Yeah, that's what Doodle Jump looks like. I did want to check out Ninjump on this like I always do. I always play this one game. Yeah, like this ninja game. It's very fun. I've played this like forever. It never gets old though. This game is really fun actually. I've gotten up to like 10,000 on this game, but I'm gonna end up playing for a while, so I'm gonna stop myself there. We can check out Paper Toss too. I always go to this level because I can like throw the paper at like the boss's head. Oh, I didn't even mean to do that. I'm trying to hit him with it. There you. Yeah, and we can check out Paper Toss as well. This has way more levels than Paper Toss 2. Like let's go to easy. Okay. But yeah, you get the point. This phone overall is like one of my favorite iOS devices all time. I did want to ask you guys one thing. What is yours? If you have a favorite iOS device that isn't the iPhone 5, because this is personally one of my favorites just because of how the size of it's like not too big, not too small, but that's the reason why I like this one specifically. But like, what is your favorite? Comment down below. I'm curious. I'd say for iPads, probably like for me, probably the iPad Air 2 is probably my favorite personally. And then for iPods, I'd probably say like the Touch 5 would be my favorite, but I'm curious what you guys think. So what is yours again? Of course, big thanks to Mac Throwback for selling this to me for a good price. Has a very good device, has a very good battery. So thanks, and go check out his channel if you haven't already. If you found this video interesting, please like, subscribe, and share so someone that might also find this interesting. Check out my social medias on the end card and in the description. And yeah, this has been Derek from CertifiedLegacy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.